Okay, from example 1, we'll note that one-time interest isn't very common unless borrowing money between individuals or in the case of an extremely short-term loans. For longer-term loans, it's common for interest to be paid on a regular basis, be that monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. Okay, so example like that might be a car loan or something like that. Okay, that's hopefully you're paying that monthly. Okay, let's look at bonds. Bonds are loans made to the bond issuer, and that would be like a company, organization, or the government, by you, the bond holder. So sometimes you might see school districts hold a bond election. They're trying to raise money for a new library or whatever they're trying to raise money for. In return, the loan, the issuer agrees to pay interest, often annually. All bonds have a maturity date. That means you can't hold them forever. When the maturity date arrives, the issuer pays back the original amount of the bond. Okay? So you've already got your interest, okay? And then at the maturity date, you're going to get your money back. So I know I'm skipping around a little bit here, but I would like to go ahead and develop the formulas for simple interest. The formula for simple interest is I equals P R T. Okay? So in these formulas, I is the interest. We're going to talk about A later. Okay, P is the principal. That's the amount that you're either borrowing or investing. R is the interest rate in decimal form, and T is the time in years. So interest equals principal times rate times time. This only finds the amount of interest earned. It does not include the principal. This is very important, as some students have a tendency to use the wrong formula. The formula for the total amount of money in an account, including simple interest, is given by the following. Now, at the most simple level, when you're paying somebody back, you have to pay back how much you borrowed, that's the principal, plus the fee, that's the interest, that they charge you for borrowing their money. Okay, so there's a couple of other formulas that we could use for this. Principal plus, well, what was interest? Principal times rate times time. Okay, so also another formula that I like to use depending on the problem is if you know how to factor it all. You see you can factor out the P here, and when you factor out the P you get 1 plus RT. Now this formula can be quite useful as well. So in this case, again, that A is the total amount of the account including interest. Okay, with this in mind, let's go back up and look at example 2. Suppose a city is building a new library and issues bonds to raise the money to build it. You obtain a $5,000 bond. That looks like principal. That pays 4.5% interest annually. Okay, so that's going to be the rate, and we need to change that to a decimal. It matures in 5 years. Okay, they want to know how much interest we will earn. That's all we want here. We really need to make sure what they're asking for, so that means we need this particular formula. So our principal times the rate times the time gives us $1,125. And on B, they said, how much money will be paid to you overall during those 5 years? So they're looking for the total amount. So remember, that's our principal plus the interest, which we already figured that out. So we gave them $5,000 to use for the library, and they paid us $1,125 interest. So that means that we will get $6,125 back. Okay, so let's look at example 3. Treasury notes, or T-notes, are bonds issued by the federal government to cover its expenses. Suppose you obtain a $500 T-note, so that's our principal, with 4% interest, paid annually. If the T-note matures in 3 years, there's our time, How much interest will you earn? Again, I'm interested in principal times rate times time to see interest. So $500 times the 400s there times 3 gives me $60.